Here you go. Oh crap. Well, there we go. This is Void Spawn What Ifs here. This is going to be, I believe, part 4. Actually, no, part 5 of What If Bell was a Necromancer. So, in the last part, we left off with Bell basically raiding an entire castle, the gods finding out about Bell because of his immense unholy energy. What else? Alright, Bell now has his basically own personal cult. Also, the 5 books which you guys currently see on the screen, basically around Bell. That's Bell, by the way, if you guys didn't watch the previous episode. So basically, anyways, those 5 books are the Necronomicon, the book about dark magic, the book about curses, the book about unholy energy, and also the 5th book being about, I believe I said, crap, what was it about? Some sort of different type of magic, or basically the laws which basically all of the members of the cult need to be basically follow, that being the rules and all that crap. So, I do believe that I left off with him going, basically, how do you say it, on a journey. So, oh crap, what a minute guys. Okay, sorry about, actually you guys don't even see the weight, but anyways. So in the last episode, basically, yeah, Bell took over in a castle. He has his own undead army now, basically, but it's mainly consisted of skeletons, zombies and all that crap. Although he has some new grave guard, which is like the elite forces, with all of them being ranging from level 8 to level 9, or maybe level 9 to level 10. It really depends, because like it's different if they're like on horses. If they're on horseback, they're level 10 to level 12. If they're basically on foot, they're from level 8 to level 9, and that's only if they're carrying like common, that is not common, but like just swords and shields, or axes and shields. If they have great swords or great axes now, or halberdiers, basically then they go up to level 10 to level 11. So I hope that's not too confusing. But anyways, at this point the Imperium, that being the Empire, which is basically current god, is the god of war Ares, along with Odin's kingdom, which basically he's the main god of, try to and deal with Bel, because having an immortal lich which can kill gods, basically running around destroying whole castles and cities is, well, not cities, towns, because Bel hasn't really, how do you say it, most cities in the Empire have several hundred, if not thousand, level 8 to 11 adventurers. So even though he has like 5,000 Graveguard, keep in mind that those cities in the Empire, that is, I'm just gonna say this, the Empire is like heavily populated. Like it is the Empire, but let's see, it has like 76 million people and it's the size of, let's say, Romania. So yeah, it's basically the size of that. And with some offshore colonies, not being like islands, and also a new continent which they discovered. Which, by the way, Evilus still hasn't gotten to that yet. But guess who will? I think you guys. I think that most of you guys guessed it. That's going to be Bell. But not yet. First he needs to make an undead fleet, and that means undead pirates. And maybe a sea monster. I'm gonna see where I go with that. Although for now, basically Bells go ahead destroying small villages, raising the dead at multiple graveyards, even at one point having one of his, minions, or one of his basically followers, which is another Necromancer, basically go to the, the capital, the main port of the Empire, and basically raise the dead has uncontrollable monsters in every single graveyard outside and inside of the basically port. And that basically means that there's like 20,000 skeletons and zombies going up against 7,500 men-at-arms and also several high-ranking adventurers. Since keep in mind, this is a rather small port, so it's not exactly that much important, and it also doesn't have any sort of adventurer guild. Because let's just say that the Imperium has 5 main dungeons, those being like the smaller ones, one, how do you say it, moderate basically size, so that one goes to like 500 floors, while the small dungeons go up to 100. Or go down to 100 floors. And then they also have all the basically regular dungeons, that being like caves with goblins and all that crap, a forest filled with spiders and, well, basically that stuff. So the port isn't basically really well, how do you say it, defended. And, well, basically most of the city also becomes undead. And then what happens? Well, let's just say that Bell uses a new type of magic affinity, which he learned from a fellow necromancer. And also, he doesn't have an affinity for it, he just learned it. So he can now use, a bit of shadow magic. So basically he can teleport his shadow, like to any different shadow where either one of his undead is, or one of his followers is. And also, currently, because of how low of a level that his shadow magic is, basically he can transport troops with him, but currently he can only transport about 5,000. But still, if you keep in mind that you basically come into the main capital of the Imperium with like 5,000 Graveguard, yeah, that's gonna cause a bit of a trouble, especially if you're attacking it from all sides. Well now, am I going to make Bell destroy the entirety of an entire empire? It doesn't sound very logical, since other kingdoms and other basically confederations and empires would come to aid them. I'll see where I go with that. Although first I need to make Bell have a good starting point, that being like his main base of operations. Since the castle he took over, yeah, he left like, I think like 30 or 40,000 of his troops there. Yeah, the Empire said just no to that and said like on their main Imperial army of like 500,000 troops. So yeah, although with all intents and purposes the undead army was actually quite good at basically holding the entire castle, because, you know, undead don't have morale, don't need food, don't need sleep. So yeah, although the battle did only last for like 2.5 days, although still the undead army was completely demolished, which honestly to Bell 20 or 40,000 troop is basically meh. He really doesn't even care about that, especially because most of them were like either zombies or low-level skeletons. And by that I mean that the low-level skeletons are like from level 5 to level 7. Yeah, that's low level to him, even though in the anime level 7 and 6 are like god tier. But this is like the anime. If you guys want to know how I basically made the levels work, you can either go watch part 0 or the last part, where I simply said how exactly it functions with the current leveling system. That is how levels get passed down. That being, I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown. So basically, if a father is a level 5 and the mother is level 7, then their child is going to be level 4. Basically, yeah. And that's, you know, like a baby which is a level 4 is strong enough to kill several dozen goblins on its own. So yeah. Although keep in mind that during those several thousand years, monsters were also breeding. So yeah, monsters are also significantly, how do you say, stronger than when Bell was a human. Keep that in mind. Ah crap, now I gotta make up new levels for all that shit. Oh well. And I really gotta make a fucking script for all the levels I have. Oh, and by the way guys, when I finish with this What If Bell, I'm gonna continue with What If Bell was a Spartan Knight. And I'm also going to be making a new one to replace this one, which is basically going to be What If Bell was a samurai or ninja. I think I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. Like, which one do you want more? What if Bell was a ninja or a samurai? Or any other suggestions you guys have. Although in the realm of fantasy, because I don't want to make like Bell a fucking Sith Lord. That's too much work. Deku, sure. Bell, Maybe if I put him as a character in the What If Deku was a Sith Lord. Oh crap, Never mind what I just said, that was supposed to be a milestone for when I get 50 subscribers. Uh, okay, just let's go on with the what if Bell, what if. So, anyways, like I said, the basically losing an army of 40,000 zombies and skeletons is basically nothing to Bell. And well, the only reason why Bell was actually frustrated was because he lost about 11 of his followers. Although in all honesty, when Evilus heard, or well at least like scribes of other orders, heard that the Lich, Bell, the most powerful necromancer and the first ever necromancer to live, had become a Lich. Basically a god-killing being, and also which is immortal. Yeah, he gained quite a few new recruits. And then also the old guy who was basically the leader of the order before Bell came along, he also died in that battle. Although he did die honorably, taking several high-level adventurers down with him. And well, basically, let's say that Bell gains like another 50 new recruits, like scribes and all that crap. And he also gets something new, which he didn't even know that existed. He gets basically dark magic blacksmiths. So they imbued armor with different types of basically black magic enchantments and all that crap. So yeah. So then, well, actually no, he has like 30 something scribes, which are going to become like future users of like magic. Some of them are going to be, what's it called? Like, I was like, I gotta figure out how to basically make them. So there's a scribe, and there's an apprentice, a high apprentice, which is like an apprentice which is almost to graduation, like becoming an actual necromancer, or yeah. Then there's a necromancer, a high necromancer, and an overseer, and then next to the overseer is also an inquisitor. So yeah, basically what the necromancer inquisitors do is basically this. You choose necromancy, but you're not a part of like Bell's guild, that is order. Well, guess you gotta die now. Or if they didn't know that Bell existed, even though that's highly unlikely, they have a chance to join them as the lowest rank, that being a scribe. And well, basically Bell goes ahead to the port, which was basically attacked by his own troops, or he's one of his own, how do you call it? Fuck. How do I forget these words? Shit. One of his scribes, yes, there we go. And well, he immediately promotes into a high leveled, basically in a high scribe, and also makes him the apprentice of Michael, because currently Michael is the most elite necromancer he has. And let's say that Bell basically teleports into the port yet again with like 1,000 of his grave guard, because, well, even though I said that using his shadow magic he can teleport like 5,000 troops, that's like at the maximum, so he has to use a lot of magic for that. And I mean, still, 1,000 grave guard who are like level 10 to 11 versus a couple of men-at-arms and a couple of adventurers. Yeah, they get slaughtered. The entirety of the city's population becomes the undead, the soldiers become the undead, and the adventurers become the undead. Now, at this point, Bell has like 200 or so like high-leveled adventurers, that being ranging from like level 11 to level 16. So yeah. And basically, he takes those all of his 200 adventurers, and using one of his, how do you say it? Let's like this. He has like 3 overseers, 1 grand overseer, that being like the guy who controls all of them, is basically like what the captain of the entirety of the order. I'm gonna say that's gonna be Michael. He's the grand overseer, and then he has like 3 other overseers which he like controls. There's going to be 2 inquisitors, 1 grand inquisitor, which is, I'm gonna call them, let's see, Michael, and what should the other guy's name be? Let's call him, his edgy and cliche it might sound, I'm just gonna call him Shadow, since Inquisitor, Assassin, Holy Assassin, same thing, or at this point Unholy Assassin. So basically, his Grand Inquisitor, how do you call it? Yeah, Shadow. He's basically currently at the capital of the Imperium. So, actually no, not the capital. The Imperium's, the fourth largest city of the Imperium, called Novarino. And also, that's basically like their main focus of trade and all of that. So yeah, Bell simply teleports right behind him, with the Grand Inquisitor immediately noticing him and basically bowing down, like, you know, like what those ninjas do, like the fist to the ground and then like bowing to him, with one knee on the ground and all that crap. So yeah, that's what he does. And well, that's when he sees from, what you call it, the Bell's shadow, basically emerge 200 undead adventurers. And then the Grand Inquisitor is like, huh, so you're doing that now? Or well, actually, that's new. And well, let's just say that after that happens, Bell gives the Grand Inquisitor a new mission. That being this: assassinate the leader of the Merchant Guild of the Imperium, which is currently being guarded by 2 level 20 adventurers. The Grand Inquisitor, on the other hand, is a level 17. Although, due to the equipment which Bell gave him, being basically enchanted and basically imbued with Bell's own curses, including his, basically, armor which he is wearing. So, actually wait. Okay, sorry for the wait, guys. So basically, the Inquisitor, Shadow, he basically looks like this. So, yeah. And also, every single bit of his armor is enchanted, along with his hat. So basically, he can throw his hat. It's like... And immediately when he throws it and says an incantation, basically the hat turns into a metal disc, with basically blades sticking out of it. And like, not like those large blades, like extremely small blades, which like do minor, how do you say it, grazes, like on the flesh and all that crap. And well, if it touches the flesh, it immediately becomes infected. If not treated properly with how do you say it, holy magic, yeah, you're gonna turn into a zombie. Although the only problem with that is if he turns into a zombie, how do you say it, he immediately starts to decay. So if he does to like a high level adventurer or anybody like, or a knight or even a dragon, yeah, their level is gonna go significantly down if Bell tries to resurrect them again. Now then, his gauntlets, basically those red tips which you see along on his hat and dart, those are basically unholy gemstones. So yeah, they provide protection against both holy magic and magic as a whole. Wait, let's see. Now, his entire armor is basically cursed, or well, the Order of the Necromancers basically considers curses as blessings and blessings as curses. Yeah, they're unholy, but yeah. So basically, let's see. His gauntlets, which he is currently wearing. Oh. Okay, so better guys. So I think that I left off with his gauntlets. Okay, so basically his gauntlets, they can create like, how do you say it, energy blades from like where his fingertips are. So basically they engulf his whole hand in basically unholy energy and creates it into a blade. And well, that blade is rather large. It goes like all the way to his, if you guys can see where his boots are, it basically goes to there. So yeah. And well, he can also manipulate it to be created into a shield or any other form he wants. You can create it into like a, you know, like those chained sickles? Yeah, he can also make them into that, since, yeah, he's basically an unholy inquisitor. Let's see, do I make him an... Actually, no, I'll hold off on that now. And well, basically, he goes ahead and deals with a mission. Now, but before he enters the Merchants Guild, he first lets the adventurers, which Bell had, do their part. And their part basically being this: as soon as they come, as soon as like most of the merchants and adventurers and also the guards and the civilians, like in the middle of the day, like the most bustling time for markets, yeah, the adventurers who could use magic start using it. They kill hundreds of civilians, a couple of dozen of guards, and several adventurers. Now, at that point, it's a full-blown alarm, because that's the fourth largest city in the entirety of the Imperium. And on top of that, it's also their main trading hub. Or so... yeah, they have a lot of protection there, including several dragon riders, which are all level 21. So yeah, they go ahead and start dealing with the undead adventurers, and well, they notice rather quickly that they are undead due to like rotting flesh, skulls, and yeah. And so they immediately know whose work this is. And then they get a bit scared, because does that mean that he's going to be attacking this large of a city? This boldly? Like, how large is his army then? And well, they send word for reinforcements from like the main capital. So let's say like 100,000 soldiers of the main imperial army, along with the High Prince. And also the High Prince is a level 23 adventurer. Just so you guys know. And well, he was several, how do you say it, 2 swords and 1 spear, each one of them blessed by Ares. So yeah, that's gonna do a lot of damage to Bell if he gets the... Ugh. Excuse me guys, my bad. So that's gonna do a lot of damage to Bell if he gets even grazed by them, because like I said, a Lich plus Holy Energy, big no-no. Very, very big no-no. And well, let's see. Alright. So, as all of them go off, one of the 2 guards, which the basically head of the merchant guild, or federation head in the Imperium, goes off to see what's going on. At that moment, Shadow uses his unholy energy and also cursed sickles, and basically both of them pierce the shoulders. No, one of them pierces the shoulder, or, well, yeah, pierces the shoulder of the mercenary guard, and the other one basically goes ahead and cuts off his entire, and goes for his throat. Although the mercenary is able to block it, because, like I said, that's level 21 adventurer, while Shadow is only level 19. But Shadow has much better armor than him. And well, that's when Shadow uses his hat. Basically cast an enchantment on it, and then makes it so that it cuts through him, basically starting to decrease all of his abilities because of the curses. And before he can do anything, basically Shadow uses, like I said, actually no, I didn't say this, he also has shadow magic and also one more type of magic, which is going to be extremely useful for him. And also, yeah, I kind of forgot to say this, he's a vampire. He can use shadow magic and blood magic. So yeah. And let's see, one of his attributes is that if he starts drinking the blood of basically various enemies, he can basically rejuvenate. So like if he has a cut off arm, his arm can basically start healing by itself. And well, let's just say that he goes ahead and stabs both of his now energy blades into the guard. And at that point, he uses his shadow magic and teleports the mercenary all the way to Bell. And meanwhile, if you guys are wondering where Bell is, he is basically on one of the mountains, basically surrounded by 50 Graveguard, and also Michael and his apprentice, basically looking what's going down there. And well, just to make it a bit more interesting, and also not to completely let all the undead adventurers die in vain, he also starts rising up the dead, that being the dead civilians, adventurers, and soldiers, along with the God knows for how long dead in like the graves. So yeah, out of nowhere, 50,000 more undead just prop out. Although a large number of them, that is now almost all of them, being outside of the castle walls. Although the ones which were inside were basically rich nobles and knights. So yeah, they actually have equipment on them, because in the Imperium it is another tradition to bury the dead with, or at least knights and also different types of heroes with what you said, their armor. Although for several of them, Bell actually can't raise them because their armor is like is enchanted by holy magic. So yeah, he like rises one of the undead out, and then the holy magic just basically evaporates him. So yeah, there's like a few sets of just holy, in basically holy powered armor just lying there, and then like ash all around them. Yeah. Although the knights and the adventurers who didn't have that, yeah, they become a rather large problem, basically doubling the size of the adventurers inside of the city, being to 400. And I got a bit off track, so basically Shadow, after killing that one and teleporting him back to Bell, which, yeah, Bell immediately starts to do his magic on him, and that being a bit harder because that guy was a level 21, although now he's a level 20 because of the curse magic which was applied by Shadow's, heart, which grazed him. And that's basically when Shadow enters the Merchant Guild. He finds about 20 mercenary adventurers, although all of them being from like level 10 to level 13. So yeah, he uses, first he uses his hat, basically throwing it around, and then using the red gemstone, which you guys see on the hat, to basically control it. So yeah, he quickly basically cuts every single one of the mercenaries, and then uses he uses his, not his sickles this time, but just the chain. Although the chain has small spikes all around it, so yeah. And then starts wailing it around, basically doing massive damage to all of them, cursing them even more, and basically doing the curse which makes them bleed. Like no matter what sort of magic they use, the bleeding won't stop. Or if they try to stop it, it won't. If they put like a bandage around it, the bleeding will still continue. Although you guys probably knew that, so I don't know why I wasted a full half a minute on it. Sorry about that. But anyways, after he deals with all of them, he goes ahead and tries to get into the room. Out of nowhere, the door just bursts open, and then he narrowly avoids a gigantic, basically battle axe being crushed upon his skull. Now, this adventurer is another bodyguard. That is, he's a second bodyguard. I'm gonna say that he's like a level 23. So yeah, one of the highest ranking adventurers in that city, that is. And well, that's when he begins to attack Shadow. Although Shadow uses his Shadow Step, basically making him a much faster than he usually is. And well, although the guy with the heavy suit of armor, along with the the battle axe, is almost as quick as him, even though he is wearing all that armor, because he's he's 4 levels ahead of Shadow. So yeah. But basically, he's 5 levels higher than Shadow, being 20. But yeah, he's 19, so he's 5 levels. He's 4 levels. Fuck, I don't know basic math. Shit. But basically, he goes ahead and battles with him. Shadow almost gets killed, but at that point the adventurer just feels something grab his arm, and when he turns around, well, he basically says this: yes, don't mind the edginess. But the other adventurer, or the bodyguard, which was teleported to Bell, yeah, Bell raised it and then basically used some of his own shadow magic to then teleport a new suit of armor and a sword to the mercenary. So yeah, now it's Shadow and this guy fighting against him. And if you guys are wondering, basically this armor is made out of mithril. And mithril being one of the most highest praised metals in the entirety of the fucking world. So yeah, and that's one more thing. It isn't regular mithril, it's basically mithril infused with both dark magic and curses, like always. Although this guy uses curses like a blessing, like I said a couple of minutes shit, let's forget about that. So basically he has several curses on him, which basically make any single blade which makes contact with his armor start to degrade. It doesn't degrade exactly that fast, but it's noticeable because the blade basically, and then the blade slowly starts to become blackened. So yeah, and then we come to his sword. His sword has the same curse effect as basically what you call it, the chains do. So if he cuts somebody, that cut will always bleed until applied with like proper healing magic or holy magic. Another curse of the sword is basically the curse of weakness and the curse of what they call it. Basically, it has 4 curses on it. One being the bleeding effect, the other one being the curse to nullify any magic which the user has in him. Although if they're a higher level than him, the magic only nullifies how much magical power the adventurer has. That being how much magical energy he has. And actually, I'm gonna name them. Okay, so the first bodyguard, this guy, his name is gonna be Rex. While the second bodyguard's name is gonna be, Jason. There we go. So Jason and Rex were the 2 bodyguards. That is, one was a bodyguard, the other one still is. But basically, let's see. His sword has the curse of basically making his enemies bleed until they're properly treated. The second curse being one which basically, how do you say it, lowers his magic count, that is his magical stat points. And basically how that works is this: the amount of magical stat points Rex has when he cuts somebody with his sword, it basically like, let's say if the Jason has like 126,000 magical stat points and Rex has 95,000. So those 95,000 points are going to be taken away from Jason and put into the sword, which can now use any sort of magical affinity or any magical power, although to a lesser degree, which Jason had. So it's a pretty damn good sword, along with the curse of weakness and the curse of, let's see, heavenly defiance. And that basically lowers their holy magic or their unholy resistance. So curses have even more of an effect on him. Yeah. And basically, as Rex and Shadow now basically together try and fight against Jason, Jason slowly begins to, get pushed back into a corner, and then finally, what happens then? Well, let's just say that Belle teleports right behind him. And now, like, Belle can actually teleport in a certain radius, which she, like, sees, and using, like, the eyes which Rex had, and also using one of his artifacts, basically being the one where he puts the eye artifact in one of his eye sockets. He basically sees anything and everything, which the user, he is currently looking through his eyes, basically. So that's it. He teleports behind Jason. Jason now feels an ominous energy behind him. He basically turns around and tries to hit Belle, but as I said, Belle is at least level currently of 31. So yeah. He basically uses one of his gauntlets and then stops the halberdier or the battle axe as soon as the guy basically swings it around. And then he simply grabs the guy's face, breaks off his helmet, and then just crushes his head. He doesn't crush it. He uses an immense amount of basically curses and dark energy to basically kill him. So yeah. And well, after that, he simply sends Shadow to kill the leader of the Merchant Guild. And the leader of the Merchant Guild is basically, your everyday capitalist. That is like an extremely bad capitalist. Or a good one, but his morals are questionable. So basically imagine a fat guy with like the fancy suit, the golden monocle, and what else? Golden shoes and gloves, and also buttons and a belt. Yes, that's the perfect representation of the Merchant Guild leader. And well, Shadow basically comes there, takes one of his sights, and cuts off the guy's head. And after that, Bell calls the mission off. He takes basically takes all of the powerful adventurers, which still haven't died. That's like 20 or so of them, and leaves the rest of the adventurers and the undead to basically fight against each other. And well, as Bell teleports, that is, basically gets all of his... crap. Sorry guys, it's sort of late for me, so yeah. But anyways, he uses his shadow magic to teleport both Rex, Jason, and Shadow basically up the mountain. And as soon as he does teleports there, he immediately sees a sword coming right at him. Because at this time, the 50 Grave Guard, Michael and his apprentice, were fighting off against, well, a detachment of the 1000, how do you say it? That is no, of 250 Royal Guard and the High Prince. Basically, his army just arrived. And like I said, the High Prince has an extremely deadly arsenal of holy weapons. And well, as Bell teleports there, he just sees a sword flying right to him. Although at that point, Rex uses his own sword to block it. And funnily enough, the prince is actually astonished, because usually any single sword which has like unholy power in it breaks immediately after touching with his own holy swords. And then he gets pushed back, because at that point, well, Bell just starts casting some magic on Jason's body and also starts teleporting some equipment. Now, the prince doesn't know what he's doing, because he's basically being blocked by Michael, his apprentice, Rex, and also Shadow. So, yeah, it's a bit of a problem there, since all of them are high ranking, although not as high ranking as the prince. And he's currently level 24. Level 24 I think I said he was. So the prince goes ahead and starts fighting with them. Basically overpowering Shadow using because the prince has his own holy stones and holy artifacts, which basically prevent him from getting any sort of curses unless they are more powerful than... Okay, I'm sorry about that guys, my mother entered the room. I think that I left off with like all of them fighting against each other, like the prince fighting against Rex, Jason, that is Rex, Shadow, and also Michael and Michael's apprentice. So basically, they've been fighting for like a couple of minutes now. Like Rex is exhausted. Rex isn't exhausted, but Shadow and Michael and his apprentice are, because Rex is an undead. So yeah, he doesn't feel any pain or basically any fatigue. And the prince is also like huffing a bit, because he's also getting a tiny bit tired. But well, that's when he sees that Michael's guard is basically down. He lunges at Michael, but before he can do anything, a gigantic battle axe just swings at him. And yeah, that's right, he is going to be Jason. Jason and Rex are going to be the private guards of Bell. Just so you guys know, basically any character which has a name in my what ifs is, well, rather important. And well, let's just say that as that was going on, basically Jason uses his battle axe to create another type of something weird, that being black magic. Jason has the ability, or well, the axe, those 3 red gemstones you see inside of it. So two of them have hellfire inside of it, while the third one has black lightning. So yeah, he basically combines all 3 of those spells and just yeets it, combining all 3, although that is both hellfire and black lightning, into hellfire lightning. And yeah, the prince tries to block it with his holy energy, but then his holy energy gets countered by someone. That someone being Bell, using one of his most powerful curses. That being blindness. That is true blindness. Basically making it so that anybody who gets that curse is immediately blinded, and like that's something which can never be taken off unless a god basically gives it a blessing to the person. And although Ares did give a blessing to him, he gave blessing to his weapons and his armor, not like himself, because then he could be considered a champion of Ares. And well, Ares is, and basically gods can only have 1 to 2 champions. Like the main gods like Zeus, Odin can have 2 champions. Although gods like Ares, which are like somewhere in the middle, like not too powerful but also not too weak, they can have only 1 champion. And that 1 champion is currently the High Prince's older sister. So yeah, which is by the way a level 27 adventurer. So yeah. And just like that, the High Prince gets blinded. And well, his guard is now off, and the attack which Jason basically sent towards him, yeah, it connects. It connects. Connects. Okay, there we go. So yeah, basically the prince is sent flying, his armor is currently shattered. Because yeah, if I didn't say, Jason is going to be basically a dark paladin. So yeah, and he's an extremely powerful one at that. And well, basically the prince, let's see, his left arm and left leg, along with like left part of his body, that is no, his left arm and left leg have been completely cut off, while the left part of his body is badly charred and burned. So, yeah. And well, at that point, Belle simply goes over to the prince. The royal knights try to intervene, but at that point, Belle has had enough and uses a mass AoE, that is what they call it, in an area of effect, basically of 150 meters of death magic. So yeah, every single royal knight is just dead, falls to the ground, and that's it. And although it's like a, what do you call it, it's a silent death, so like even Shadow and Michael are a bit uneasy about this, because usually death comes with screaming. Yeah, this one was just like hearing as all of them fell along with their armor, like nothing was heard, just like the clanks of their armor as they fell to the ground. So yeah, it was terrifying to most people, although Shadow and Michael basically were like used to Belle, although not that used to him. It's like he expertly killed all of them. And well, basically I'm going to be ending it off now. Anyways, let's see. I know like one of you guys asked me to make part 4, and also like I promised that I was gonna make it today. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and well, have a nice day or nice night, depending on where you are.